So have you seen the latest on the Epstein case? I mean, these MAGAs are furious. They are out of their mind, angry right now, because the DOJ and the FBI have come out and said that there is no Epstein client list, and they confirm that he committed suicide. That all the right-wing conspiracy theories that, you know, these people have been feeding to the MAGA base now for years. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino have all come out now and said that all those conspiracy theories that we've all been feeding to you for support, telling you what you want to believe, it's all lies. Epstein committed suicide. He was not murdered. And there is no client list. And MAGA is furious. By the way, as to those right-wing conspiracy theories that I alluded to, I think there's something to that. I don't buy that Epstein committed suicide. I just don't buy it. And actually, I was just watching, it must have been a TikTok video with Michael Franzese. I don't know if you know who this guy is. He's a former mobster in the mafia, went to prison. He was in the same prison in which Jeffrey Epstein supposedly committed suicide. And he talked about how he doesn't believe that at all. He talked about the specifics of those cells and how the prison worked. And he said, there's no way. There's no way he could have committed suicide, certainly in the way that he is alleged to have committed suicide. Anyway, I think there may be something to that. Now, I can't prove any of that, but that's certainly my suspicion. Anyway, these MAGAs are furious. And who are they furious at? Well, they're furious at Bondi and Patel and Bongino. Of course, they're not mad at their orange God King, because they can never be mad at him. In fact, you know, Elon Musk is all over this too. As you'll recall, right after his breakup with Trump, he said, and that's when we knew it was serious, because he said that the Epstein files should be released in full, and that Donald Trump is all over the Epstein files, and that's why they haven't been released. And you know, I'm hoping that at some point Elon Musk releases the files himself, if he has them. I don't know if he has them or not. What I do know, though, is that as the head of Doge, he would have had access to those files. If he really wanted it, he could have accessed those files. Remember, the whole point of Doge was not to cut all these programs. That was an ancillary benefit to all these anti-government, MAGA people, Project 2025 people. The real purpose was to give Elon Musk access to all of it. And the reason I say that is because Doge, as you'll know if you've been watching, because I read the executive order when it was first released, way back at the beginning of his administration. Doge was not created out of whole cloth. It was an existing department. I believe it was called the U.S. Digital Service or something like that. And it had jurisdiction over, for lack of a better term, over all of the federal government's computer systems and software systems and databases. And I had never heard of that department before, but they took that existing department that has nothing to do with cutting government programs or reviewing the efficiency of government programs. Nothing that Doge came to be associated with. It had to do with maintaining the government's computer systems and databases and all of that stuff across all departments of the federal government, literally everything. And so they took that department and they just renamed it to the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge. and they put Elon Musk in charge of it, although he wasn't really in charge of it, as they have been telling the courts. There's actually some woman who's actually the official head of Doge, but she's a figurehead. We know that Musk had full access to all that. And the point is, he had access to all the government's computer systems. And if he and his team of low-life scumbags had wanted to get their hands on the Epstein files, and if Elon Musk had any sort of smarts whatsoever, he would have used his access to dig up as much dirt on Trump as possible in case he needed it later on after their inevitable breakup. Maybe he was too stupid to realize that the breakup was inevitable and that that Trump would turn on him. I don't know, but I'm hoping that he has those Epstein files himself, and he knows of what he speaks when he says that Trump is all over those Epstein files. But we'll see. Anyway, Musk is out there all over this, furious about Pam Bondi not releasing these and saying there is no client list, and that Epstein really did kill himself. And it's all of MAGA. Not that Musk is MAGA anymore, I guess. I don't know how you would categorize him, but MAGA world is hair on fire pissed. I saw one guy on Twitter this morning. This is just representative of what you're seeing all across social media. Some douchebag named Gunther. Now, this is a dim-witted fucking Trump cultist. But he has a huge following, at least on Twitter. I'm not sure what he's got going on other platforms. But he's big with the MAGA cult on Twitter. And he wrote, "Right now, my trust in government is at zero. Quote, on my desk and truck full is what we were told. The lies are blatant. Someone has some explaining to do." Actually, he refers to on my desk. What that's referring to is Pam Bondi had assured these MAGA nuts that she had the files. They were all sitting on her desk, and that she was going through all of it, and that she was going to be releasing all of this, right? And here's what she said on Fox News back in February. Watch this.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So here Bondi is on Fox, home of the MAGA cult, and she's assuring them that I'm going through it. The stuff is on my desk, specifically the client list, which she now says doesn't exist. But back in February, the client list is sitting on her desk. Now it doesn't exist. So people like Gunther, again, he wrote, "Right now, my trust in government is at zero. On my desk and truck full is what we were told. The lies are blatant. Someone has some explaining to do. Someone needs to go to prison." These people are pissed. But you notice, and of course it would be the case. He talks about my trust at government is zero. Who's in charge of the government? Okay, you could be mad at Pam Bondi. Who does Pam Bondi work for? Where is your anger at Trump? Right? Wasn't Trump going to release all of this? Actually, Trump was asked about this during the campaign, or maybe it was shortly after he was elected. I'm not sure. But he was asked by a sympathetic Trump cult propagandist reporter. He was asked about various files and whether he would release them. He was asked about the JFK files and the MLK files. And he said, "Oh yeah, I'll definitely release those. Oh, I'll definitely release." Every time he was asked about different cases, "Oh yes, I will definitely release all of those. Of course. No hesitation at all." Then he was asked, "Will you release the Epstein files?" And he went, "Well, yeah, I'll release those, but you know, we got to be careful because there's a lot of lies in files like that. So we have to be careful that we don't, put out misinformation." And it was very clear if you watch that interview that he had no intention of those files ever seeing the light of day because he knows what's in them. And it sure as hell seems to me like Elon Musk is right when he says that Donald Trump is all over those files. But the point is, MAGA's all pissed off at Bondi and Patel and Bongino. No anger whatsoever for Trump. Are these people, damn these friggin' bugs, are these people ever going to wake up and realize that they've been lied to and they've been conned by one of the world's stupidest people? Or is it that they just have so much personally invested in defending Donald Trump that they've been doing it for so long, they can't admit that they were conned? And they just can't ever do it. So they'll direct their anger at everyone else in the world, including, anyone in Trump's regime. Just not Trump. So they're turning on Bondi. They'll turn on whoever. They just can't turn on Trump, right? They haven't spent the last decade of their life defending Pam Bondi or Kash Patel or anyone else. So they don't mind turning on them, but they just can't bring themselves, because it'll say too much about them. And they just can't. So much of this Trump cult crap is psychological. And it's the only way you can explain it is through psychology and group and cult psychology. Nothing makes sense otherwise. Anyway, and what's so funny, and I don't know if you caught this video or this interview, I think it was on Fox News like a month ago or so, with Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. Dan Bon idiot. God, I mean, if Donald Trump is the world's dumbest man or close to it, this Dan Bon idiot guy is not far behind. Anyway, the two of them appeared together on Fox News, and they were already laying the groundwork for this. They said at the time, yeah, we've looked into everything, and that, he committed suicide. And they knew that they were going to catch hell over it. And Dan Bongino was like all but fucking crying on Fox News because he's been taking so much heat over this. He left his lucrative, podcasting career. Imagine that, he goes from podcaster to number 2 at the FBI. Anyway, he knew that he has to fall on his sword and cover this whole thing up. And he knew, because he spent his career as a podcaster making tons of money lying to these Trump cultists, or pushing the conspiracies and promising them all this stuff. And then, I don't know why, it was really stupid of him to take a job in the government at the FBI, where he would be in a position to prove all the shit that he's been telling these people for years. But that he should have known he would never be able to tell them the truth about any of this. He's going to have to cover it for Trump. So why would you do that? And I don't know what it's going to be like once he gets fired by Trump or leaves the Trump administration at some point. I don't know if he can pick up and have the same sort of success peddling bullshit to the cult, because the cult might thoroughly hate Bongino by the time he goes back to all that. Anyway, it was just, the thing about Bongino, he does the whole, he's a tough guy, right? That's part of his shtick. And here he was whining and damn near crying because there's so much pressure on me. It was so much easier being a podcaster. Whiny little bitch. Anyway, and what's the irony of all of this is that the cult is furious with Bondi and Patel and Bongino for doing what they're doing. And why are they saying that he committed suicide and there is no client list and there's nothing in the files, nothing to see here? Because they're protecting Trump. So the cult is furious at them for protecting their cult leader. These people are in a no-win situation. I have no sympathy for them, but they're in a no-win situation because they're getting destroyed. They're hated now by the cult for covering for Trump and not releasing the information. But what if they did release the information and Trump's all over that shit? Well, then the cult would hate him also for lying about their Orange God King. Right? Well, that has to be fake news, because if they ever did release, and of course they never would, if they ever did release it, they'd be immediately fired. Trump would say, they were part of the deep state, they're infiltrators, this is all lies and fake news. And so the cult would turn on them for that reason. So they were in a no-win situation of their own creation. I mean, they chose to take these jobs. I mean, these are not smart people. They can't think, 2 steps ahead and figure out, okay, if I take this job, this is what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have, they're not smart enough to do that. Finally, one thing, they also said, and there's a memo that they put out, that the DOJ put out saying all this shit, that there's no, that it was suicide and there's no client list and yada, yada. They also said that there will be no more charges. There's going to be no more charges stemming from the Epstein case. The only person who's ever been prosecuted for all this is Ghislaine Maxwell, or however you say her name, who is currently serving a 20-year prison sentence. And I guarantee you, if I had to bet, I'd bet anything that she's already got a deal with Donald Trump. Because if there's anyone out there who's got the goods on Trump, on all of this, it's her. But she hasn't said shit. And you would think she'd be furious because this guy could pardon her and get her out of prison right now. But he's not doing it. He's leaving her to rot in prison. She could she could spill the beans at any time. She's not, because I bet they already have a deal. There's a pardon coming for her. Probably on his way out the door. I mean, she's looking at 20 years. Yeah, she might have to sit in there for a couple of years. But, it's better than 20. And so if she keeps her mouth shut on the way out the door, Trump will pardon her. Maybe he'll be brazen and just pardon her before then. But I would bet anything that there's a pardon deal in the works. But who knows? We'll see. Anyway, that's it. I absolutely love these stories of MAGA turning on each other. And I promise you, we ain't seen nothing yet. It is going to get really bad. The MAGA civil war is a thing, and it's coming. And there have been some, opening battles, and you could see some of the battle lines starting to form. And, who hates who, which factions of the Trump cult are going to be pitted against other factions of the Trump cult. But it's going to get ugly. It's going to get really ugly, and I'm here for it. I will take great pleasure in that. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.